الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم.
Christian.
All right, cool.
I believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
What Christian
Denomination?
So I didn't know that he was trying to explain.
Well, like I was explaining to him, I don't.
Non-denominational?
I don't consider myself any specific denomination.
So just so, I mean, I don't really care about denominations, but just so I understand your belief, right? And again, this is just to re-understand. Yep. So do you believe Jesus is God?
Yes. 100%.
Okay, like 100%. So God knows everything, right?
Correct.
So Jesus would know everything?
Correct.
All right, so when I read in the Bible, in Mark 13:32, but of that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but the Father.
Right, correct.
So
when Jesus came into incarnation, he veiled his glory.
Gotcha.
Right?
So he was no longer God.
No, he's still God, fully man. Right.
So if he's fully God, then he fully knows everything.
Yes, but he veiled his divinity when he took on flesh. So you have your conscious and your subconscious. So things you may possibly know, but just don't realize that you know them, right? Or you're not going to reveal that.
So he kind of like forgot that he knew?
No. He's just not revealing that he knows those.
No. So let me just read the text here.
Right.
But of that day and hour, no one knows.
Right.
Not that it's hidden, not that he knows and he's not revealing. No one knows.
Right.
Not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son. Meaning the Son does not know, but only the Father.
Correct.
So this would clearly state that Jesus Christ did, as the Son, did not know. Right? I mean, that's not. Let's read it. Let me have you read it.
No.
Okay.
You read it right. You read it right. You didn't add anything into it.
I appreciate it. That's why I bring the book, to make sure. Right?
Yeah, but again, he had veiled his glory. Okay. So when he takes on flesh, right, he makes himself, as the Bible says, where he makes himself for a moment in time lower than the
angels.
Right?
So God can be lower than the angels?
No.
Okay, so then he's no longer God.
No. He's still 100% God.
That's really,
still 100%
bro. What was your name again?
But it's Danny.
Danny, that's really confusing, right? Come on, if you feel me, let's just be honest enough to say that makes absolutely no sense, right?
It could definitely be confusing if chapters or verses are just ripped out of context.
No.
But reading in whole, in context, then they make perfect sense.
Okay, so for example, Jesus calls the Father my God.
Yes.
He worships him, right? He puts his head on the ground and he worships and he prays to God.
Right. In the incarnation, he would have been subservient to the Father. So obviously, having an eternal relationship as the Son with the Father, he's not going to take on flesh, come down to earth, and then all of a sudden become an atheist. Right?
Well, I hope not, right? But if he's praying to God, then he's lower than God, right?
He became subservient to the Father once he took on flesh.
So when he was subservient to the Father, he is no longer God now because he's subservient to God.
Still God.
How does that make sense to you? Like think through this, right? Let me just give you an example. So then I'll listen to you, right? Let's say I am the greatest kung fu artist in the world, right? For example, the best MMA fighter, right? Let's say I could, not that I could, but let's say I could knock Khabib out, right? Let's say I'm that good, right? And then, he's a UFC fighter.
Oh, okay, I don't watch much.
He's really good.
I know what UFC is, I just don't watch much.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot too, but he's really good.
Let's just say you're the best MMA fighter.
Let's say I'm the best boxer, right? For my weight class, right? And then I take a step back, right? Meaning I'm gonna not work out anymore. I'm gonna turn into something weaker than I was, right? So now I am no longer the greatest fighter. Now somebody who's stronger than me. If I'm getting beat by somebody else, if I'm asking people for help, if I don't know moves that others know, then I cannot be the best, right? Because now I've lowered myself. So if you're saying when Jesus came to earth, he took on a lower self, and that means that he was no longer knowing of everything, that now he was in need of going to the bathroom, of praying, and even when he's saying, "Oh Father, take this cup away from me." So obviously he's no longer,
will, but your will.
Exactly, the will of God, right? Not the will of Jesus. So if Jesus was God, then how could he say, "Not my will"? Then it is God's will.
He's talking about the will he has as a man. Again, in the incarnation, when he comes down and he takes on flesh, he's coming down as a servant. Right?
Okay, so Jesus on earth was a servant.
Right, so he lowered himself.
Got it. I'm with you.
Took on the form of a man to live the perfect life, sinless life of a human being, so he could be that sacrificial.
So at that time, when he has lowered himself, living a human life, he's no longer God because he's living human life.
He's still God.
That doesn't make sense, right? That doesn't make sense. I mean, if he's God, then he's not human.
He's still subservient to the
Look, can you have a square circle?
No, of course not.
Okay, so can you have a God that doesn't know?
No, of course not.
So then Jesus cannot be God.
So again, no. So again, explaining that he does know. It's just knowledge that he just for a moment in time, temporarily, he does
like
not
amnesia.
have access to.
Okay.
Not amnesia.
Okay.
He just chose to.
Okay. So let's just take it back to that. So when he doesn't know at that moment that he does not have knowledge of the hour, then he's no longer all-knowing.
No. So he's.
Let me ask something. If you memorize all of the planets and their countries and for example, all the capitals and all the flags, right? And then you forget them. You are no longer now. I mean, it's somewhere in your back memory, but you no longer know it,
but
right?
You would still know it.
No, you don't know it. That's the whole point, right? Like I learned many things as a child that I forgot.
Right.
Today I can't say I know. Like I used to be fluent in Spanish, right? Somewhere in my head I probably have it. But if you ask me, do you know Spanish? I would be like poquito, right? Why? Because I can't use it. So when Jesus didn't have that readily available, then he didn't know. At that moment, he could, by your definition, he could not be God. He was human. He had human weaknesses.
No, well, he definitely had human weaknesses.
So how could God have human weaknesses?
Because he took on flesh.
But then he would have to no longer be the perfect, all-knowing God.
That's not true because he still shares the divine essence.
But see, again, that's like saying that you know but you don't know, right? It can't be both.
I mean, and that could be true. That
right?
could be true.
So
just like a word in Spanish, right? Let's say, I don't know if I asked you, hey, how do you say shoes in Spanish?
Zapatos.
But let's just say that you knew that back, 10 years ago.
And then I forgot it.
Forgot what it was.
Alas, I don't know it now.
I tell you it's zapatos and you say, you know what, I knew that.
Exactly. But
at the moment when I asked you,
perfect.
Like, I don't know, but I tell you and you say, oh, I knew that.
Perfect example. So let's stick with that. Good example.
What I'm saying is,
I understand.
Would that mean that you didn't know?
Yes.
Or you just forgot.
Excellent.
Right?
So at the time that I had forgotten, right? At that time I didn't know until you reminded me, right? So excellent. Right. So God always knows everything, right? We agreed on that.
Correct.
God doesn't need to be reminded, right? So that, according to the example that you gave, and a beautiful example at that, right?
Thank you.
When I forgot the word in Spanish, at that time, I was no longer all-knowing of the Spanish language, right? When you reminded me, yes, it triggered something and I got it back. Makes sense.
So it's in your subconscious memory.
Excellent.
But when I reminded you, then it was once again unleashed.
Excellent. Gotcha. Now, at that moment, when it was in the subconscious and I didn't know, when I didn't have it present, I cannot claim to know, right? That is a time when I don't know, but your reminding me reminds me, and then when I'm able to respond, then I know. If God had it where he could not know, then that's a lack of knowledge. Then to say that God knows everything at all times, which me and you agreed to already, then says at that time when he didn't know the hour, he by your definition could not be God.
No, because again, he veiled the glory. I know.
But when he veiled the glory, then he no longer knows at that time until it comes back to him.
He still has it, just like when Muhammad spoke with Allah, he spoke with him behind the veil.
Excellent. But Allah,
so the flesh for Christ is the veil that he hides the essence in.
But Allah, a great example, right? The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is a prophet, so he doesn't know everything. Okay?
Right, yeah, no.
But Allah knows.
I wouldn't agree he's a prophet, but I would agree that.
But you would agree that he doesn't know everything.
Yes.
Okay,
like
good.
All human beings.
Slowly, we'll get there. Don't worry, we'll get to the prophet part too. Don't worry, I got you, Danny.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
I appreciate. Look, we have a very respectful conversation. I appreciate you. We're all good. All right. Think about this. Allah always knows everything. Even when the Prophet ﷺ went to Isra al-Mi'raj, when he was on earth, before he created everything, Allah knows everything. Let's move. This music's a little out, right? So here we would see a difference. There is never a time when Allah doesn't know. Even in the Christian belief, there's never a time when the Father doesn't know, right? But the difference here, when Jesus doesn't know at a time, then that would clearly show that at that time, by definition, he cannot be all-knowing, because at that time, that memory is gone.
So again, it wouldn't be that he didn't know. It would be that
if you can't recall,
that knowledge is veiled. Again, just like something in your subconscious. So if it's veiled, it's not that he doesn't know.
Okay.
Because if we went to that chapter and read further in it,
let me put it.
Giving examples.
Do you speak other languages?
No, I don't.
All right. Let's say
gibberish.
Gibberish. You don't speak in tongues? I'm just kidding. All right. So I'll tell you what. I like you, Danny. Let's do this, right? Let's say when you were a little kid, you memorized some kind of algorithms in math.
Okay.
In school, right? And we also classes that we don't remember today, right?
Right, yeah.
And I ask you, hey,
trigonometry.
Trig, there you go.
I did that when I was in school. If you put it in front of me now, good luck,
exactly. So if I'm like, hey, my son's taking Trig, like I took Trig too, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, hey, can you help me out? You'd be like, nah, bro, I don't know that anymore. Like I used to know it back in the days, but now I can't help you with Trig.
Right, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So now at that moment, it's like today, if I brought you Trig, you'd be like, bro, I don't know that stuff anymore. I took it.
I'd have to start in algebra and work my way up.
Exactly, Danny, exactly. You're the man. That's exactly right. That's excellent. So,
but it's not the same with Christ.
But look at the example here, right? Now that Trig is somewhere back in your mind, right? Because once there's something in there, it's in there, right? Go for it, bro. I got you.
Oh, look at.
Oh, Avery.
Hey, God Logic. I'm right here.
Danny, what's up, man? I just texted you. What's up, Umar?
Avery, how you been, man? Long time. I like the beard, bro. I'm good, man.
I'm glad to see you.
How you doing, bro?
Glad to see you okay, man.
Yeah, man. Some people got wild on me there, bro. I needed you, man.
I'm sorry I wasn't there for you, man. But I'm
next
glad
time, bro.
you're all
Next
right,
time. I'm
man.
glad, man. I'm glad.
I forgot you had no idea what I looked like.
I had no idea what
I noticed you were
like,
standing
man.
there, but then you text me like, hey, where you at?
I did not
Avery,
expect you to be light skinned.
say what's up to the camera, man. People miss you, bro. He's
Hey,
asking about you.
what's
But
up,
Avery,
y'all? What's going
famous
on?
Avery.
Back for another conversation.